next story is from China. It's reeling under a record-breaking drought, the longest and most severe drought in recent history.
In China, authorities are battling one of the worst droughts seen in more than 50 years. Falling river levels have left hydroelectric power stations.
Parched fields, blazing forests, houses cracking as the ground beneath them dries out.
Navigate the Rhine, which means they have to carry less goods
and
as well as 25% of
As scientists
to carry,
solutions, many calls to change our agricultural model and the way.
Unfortunately,
strict water restrictions come into effect for millions of Californians shortly as the west coast of America continues to experience a crippling drought that many predict will get even worse during the summer. People in California's agriculture.
Farmers say they're facing a threat to their future.
The pots from their kitchen, anything and everything.
The biggest problem here is water. Our birds and animals are suffering because there is absolutely no water.
The northern state of Mexico is in one of the worst droughts in over a decade after 2 years of dismal rainfall.
Hi, today on Controversial, we're going to be discussing all the droughts in the world and why there aren't any. So let's look at this. Here's a picture of a lake. It's the world's smallest lake. It's actually a pond. So let's see this lake. It's got 1,000 litres capacity. And over here we've got 1,000 litre bottles, empty ones. Now we're going to fill those bottles from the lake. So we fill our 1,000 bottles up. And what have we got left? We've got an empty lake. Now, would you call this a drought? I wouldn't. In the next image, we have the water system. So the sun evaporates the lake, which turns into clouds, and then they release their water as rain or snow onto the high ground, which then feeds into rivers, which then feeds the lake, and this goes round and round and round. Now if you remove all the lake water, there's nothing to make this system work anymore. So instead of evaporating the water, there is no water, so nothing gets evaporated, no clouds are formed, no rainwater is released, no rivers are formed. So what about the sea? Yes, this is part of the water system as well, and it's probably a larger part. So from this image, as you can see, we've got the lake water and the groundwater creating a cloud. We've also got the sea creating a cloud. Now the amount of water that's evaporated is by the surface area. It doesn't matter how deep the volume of water is, it's the surface area that's what's going to be turned into rain. So if you remove the lake and groundwater from this system, then that part of the system is no longer working. Okay, so it's still evaporating the sea, but you are going to get less. That's just fact. There's going to be less. So if we move on to the next image, this is an image of a men's toilet. So it's you've got an old pipe feeding an old tank that slowly fills up with time. Now when it gets full, it releases all its water and cleans the toilet. This works very similar to how the water system works with the weather. So if we go to the next image, here we have the sea pipe. This is representing the sea, and one on the right is representing the lake. So they're both filling up the tank, which is going to be the cloud. And when it's got enough, it's going to release its water over the high land, which is the toilet. Now clearly with two pipes feeding this system, release the water quicker than if only one was there. So if we remove one, then that's going to take more time to fill up, and then it's going to release. Now if we go to this image, lakes do not look like the object on the left. They look more like the object on the right. So as the water level gets lower, the surface area gets smaller, which in turn means there's going to be less water evaporated, which means there's going to be less rain. So as the drought goes on, it gets worse and worse and worse because the water that's being evaporated is getting less and less and less. Now, a lot of the areas that have been heavily hit by drought, or so-called drought, happen to be some of the most heavily agriculture-related lands in the world. So is there a connection? Well, yes, actually, there is a connection. So if we go and look at California, which produces the most amount of food in the United States. So let's look at the humble tomato. Now the tomato contains 95% water. So if we look at this shows that California in 2018 produced 12 million tonnes of tomatoes. And of that, 44% was exported. So every year California exports 5.1 million tonnes of tomato water. Now some of these tomatoes will be dried, so there'll be less water in them, but as a whole we can say that 5.1 tonnes of water is leaving California and going elsewhere. So here is a list of all the food that the state of California produces. Now tomatoes aren't even the top crop that California produces. It comes in at somewhere like number 9. So it's not only the tons of water from tomatoes that California is shipping, it's shipping a lot of water. So what else contains water? Well, radiators do, cooling systems for power stations, computers. So there are plenty of other things that contain water and take water out of the water system. So all the water in the radiators, that's it, it's gone, that's out of the system. Until that radiator is destroyed, that water has been removed from the system altogether. Now, what's the biggest culprit? Well, you probably can all guess by now. That's right, it's humans. Because we cause everything. But not only that, we contain water as well. Here's a human. Well, it's a skeleton actually. But this is what a human looks like without water. Now every human being contains 31 litres of water. They have to drink 3.5 litres a day, but we are all permanently carrying around 31 litres of water. So every time a new human is born, that's another 31 litres being permanently taken out of the water system. So if we look at the world's population and multiply that by 31, that gives us the total amount of water that's no longer in the water system. When people die, then it will replenish, but because the population is increasing, that doesn't matter, because that's what we're going by. How many people are on the planet right now carrying water? So what's the summary and conclusion? Well, all the while the population carries on increasing, then the water situation is only going to get worse as we need more food, there'll be more people, more animals, less water. The trade of food is incredibly bad if you're the country exporting food. So if I was a country that traded food, I would seriously think about what I was doing, because you are giving away all your water. Anyway, this has been controversial. Thanks for watching, Hope to see you again soon. Give us a like. Bye.